Vince, does it look pitch black to you too?
Except for the beady eyes looking right at me.
This does not look too good. This is the best part.
You don't have to whisper, remember?
We're back for another week of our series, The Greatest Story Ever Told. In case you didn't hear already, Hannah and Vince have been using a fancy machine called the Interactive History Simulator, or IHS for short. The IHS has gotten a little unreliable the last few weeks, so Hannah and Vince have even wound up at soccer and football games on accident. But thanks to the help of intern and our new friend, Dr. Hannahstein, we've been able to see so many people from the Bible and their amazing part in God's story up close. In fact, let's list them all now in rapid speed. Noah, Abraham and Isaac, Jacob, Joseph, Moses, Samson, Samuel, David and Goliath, and Elijah. Now, I can't tell you which part of God's story Hannah and Vince are going to show you today, but I can promise you it will be awesome. After all, this is all part of the greatest story ever told.
Well, Professor, I was wondering if you might have any ideas of what could be wrong with the core transmitter on the IHS.
Certainly, Doc. Maybe you should try installing a new hard drive to see if the memory storage is causing your issue.
Suppose that couldn't hurt. Well, thank you, Professor. I'll talk to you soon.
Hey, Doc.
Great Scott!
Sorry, Doc, we didn't mean to scare you.
No need to apologize. Just a little extra jumpy today.
Is everything okay with the IHS?
Yes, just sorting out the few issues we saw last week. Should be sorted out in no time.
Oh, well that's good, because I have an awesome idea where we could visit first today.
Alrighty, well, I'll go tinker with the IHS a bit and I'll get that all sorted out for you.
All right, well, we'll tell the kids where we're headed to today.
Okay, so remember how last week the people of Israel were divided into two kingdoms, the northern kingdom and the southern kingdom?
Well, eventually the southern kingdom was invaded by the Babylonians and their king was named Nebuchadnezzar.
What you gotta know is that King Nebi here wanted all the youngest, strongest, and smartest people from the southern kingdom to come and work for him.
You cannot call him King Nebi.
Well, his name is kind of hard to say.
It's not that bad. Try to say it. Nebuchadnezzar.
Nebuchadnezzar. Kansas? Nebuchadnezzar.
No, come on, Vince. Just try to sound it out. Nebuchadnezzar.
Nebuchadnezzar.
See? You got it. So, anyways, King Nebuchadnezzar did not believe in God.
Nope. In fact, he wanted everyone to worship these huge golden statues he had his servants make, and they were 90 feet tall.
Yeah, and so today we're going to see one of my favorite parts in God's story about three of the men who were captured by King Nebuchadnezzar and taken to Babylon.
And these three guys were Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego.
They refused to bow down to King Nebuchadnezzar's gold statues because they knew there was only one true God and they only wanted to worship him.
But when King Nebuchadnezzar found out that these three weren't obeying his rules, things got a little crazy.
Hey, you said his name perfectly that time.
Thanks.
Let's go see if Doc is ready for us now.
How's it looking, Doc?
Should be in tip-top shape now.
Yay!
Have you picked your destination yet?
Yes, we want to go see Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego.
Excellent choice.
I can't wait to see what it was like to be in that fiery furnace.
Wait, we can't actually go into the furnace, can we?
Hannah, you're the one that tells me this all the time. It's a simulation.
Vincent here is correct. It is perfectly safe to go inside the furnace with this virtual reality technology.
Okay, we'll see.
Alrighty, here are your IHS HSs. Let's send you off on this great adventure.
That must be King Nebi.
Vince,
Fine, Nebuchadnezzar.
this does not look too good.
Yeah, it looks like he just found out that Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego haven't been bowing down to his gold statue.
I think you're right. Wait, I think they're coming right now.
Is it true, Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego, that you refuse to serve my gods or worship the gold statue I have set up? I'll give you one more chance to bow down and worship the statue I made when you hear the sound of the musical instruments. But if you refuse, you'll be thrown immediately into the blazing furnace. And then, what god will be able to rescue you from my power?
O Nebuchadnezzar, we do not need to defend ourselves before you.
If we are thrown into the blazing furnace, the God whom we serve is able to save us. He will rescue us from your power, your majesty.
But even if he doesn't, we want to make it clear to you, your majesty, that we will never serve your gods or worship the gold statue you have set up.
Guards, go heat the furnace to 7 times hotter than usual, then tie these men up and throw them in.
Hannah, are you wanting to jump to a different story now?
I thought you said it was safe to go into the furnace.
Correct.
Okay, well then I think I'm ready.
Really? You want to? This is gonna be so crazy. Whoa, this is crazy.
Wait, look over there. I think that's them.
Hey guys, good to see you're doing well.
Vince, they can't.
Yeah, I know. They can't hear us.
Wait, look now.
Look, I see 4 men, unbound, walking around in the fire unharmed. And the 4th looks like a god.
This is the best part.
You don't have to whisper, remember? They can't hear us.
I'm whispering for effect.
Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego, servants of the Most High God, come out, come here.
Hey Doc, can we watch this next part outside the furnace?
You got it.
They don't even look warm.
Praise to the God of Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego. He sent his angel to rescue his servants who trusted in him. They defied the king's command and were willing to die rather than serve or worship any god except their own God. Therefore, I make this decree: if any people, whatever their race or nation or language, speak a word against the God of Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego, they will be torn limb from limb and their houses will be burned into heaps of rubble. There is no other God who can rescue like this.
See kids, King Nebi totally changed his mind and even made a law that no one in his kingdom could speak against God after this.
And that's why this is one of my favorite parts of the Bible.
Think you two could come back for a moment? I'm getting a weird signal through Vince's headset that I'd like to check out.
Perfect timing as always, Doc.
That was so cool to see up close.
Probably one of the craziest things we've seen so far.
You know what would be crazy cool to see next?
What?
Daniel in the lion's den.
Oh, good idea. Should we tell the kids about Daniel?
Yeah. So Daniel was also one of the people that King Nebuchadnezzar had captured from the southern kingdom and taken to Babylon.
In fact, he was friends with Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego.
Yep. And Daniel was someone who King Nebuchadnezzar really trusted.
Exactly. Nebuchadnezzar would ask Daniel for advice on important matters for the kingdom.
And then, once Nebuchadnezzar had died, the king who had replaced him, named King Belshazzar, asked Daniel for his help too.
King Belshazzar was so grateful for Daniel's help and advice that he made Daniel the 3rd highest ruler in Babylon.
But shortly after that, King Belshazzar was killed.
Being king was a really dangerous job.
Right, so anyways, the next king of Babylon was named Darius.
And when Daniel was a lot older, King Darius, just like the last 2 kings before him, learned that Daniel was trustworthy and reliable.
I don't recollect if I've ever mentioned old reliable before.
King Darius started to make plans to promote Daniel so that Daniel could help him rule the empire.
But some of the other people who worked for King Darius were jealous of the attention Daniel was getting.
So they decided to trick King Darius into making laws against praying or worshiping anyone but King Darius.
All because they knew that Daniel was a loyal servant of God who prayed to him 3 times a day.
But the worst part is, the punishment for breaking this new law was getting thrown into a lion's den.
And that's exactly what happened to Daniel.
Are you two ready for the den of lions?
Ready when you are.
Well, put on those IHSHSs. Let's send you off.
Doc, I think that IHS got confused of which lions we'd be visiting.
Why is it never a Raiders game?
Course correcting now. You should be transported momentarily.
Boo! Boo both teams! Vince, are you there?
Yeah,
Does it look pitch black to you too?
pretty much. Except for the beady eyes looking right at me.
What? Where? Oh, that's not creepy at all.
I think I just felt a tail or something.
Just try to remember this is a simulation, right? So none of this is actually happening.
Right. We're fine.
Hey, maybe you should read this part from the Bible. That'll give us a good distraction from the eyes and the tails.
Good idea. All right, here it is. Daniel chapter 6. So at last, the king gave orders for Daniel to be arrested and thrown into the den of lions.
Wait, do you think Daniel's already in here?
I sure hope that was Daniel.
Who else could it be?
I don't know. Maybe a lion had a hairball or something.
Oh, Vince, just keep reading so we can get out of here. This is way creepier than I thought it would be.
Yeah, I agree. Okay, so the king said to him, "May your God, whom you serve so faithfully, rescue you." A stone was brought and placed over the mouth of the den. The king sealed the stone with his own royal seal and the seal of his nobles, so that no one could rescue Daniel. Then the king returned to his palace and spent the night fasting. He refused his usual entertainment and couldn't sleep at all that night.
Ew, I just felt fur or something. I do not want to be here all night.
Yeah, let's just go back to the lab and tell the story there.
Did you get that, Doc?
Yep. See you shortly.
All right, so let's finish up Daniel's story.
Do you want me to keep reading?
Do you mind if I read this part?
Go for it.
Very early the next morning, the king got up and hurried out to the lion's den. When he got there, he called out in anguish, "Daniel, servant of the living God, was your God, whom you serve so faithfully, able to rescue you from the lions?" Daniel answered, "Long live the king. My God sent his angel to shut the lion's mouth so that they would not hurt me. For I have been found innocent in his sight, and I have not wronged you, your majesty."
Daniel totally trusted God in a situation that would have been pretty scary.
I was definitely feeling scared in the den of lions, even when I knew it wasn't real for us.
Because it was just a simulation.
Exactly.
Well, we sure saw some insane parts of God's story today.
And there are so many stories of people in the Bible that God used like this to help others believe in him.
That's true. I love that we can read stories in the Bible about people making the choice to believe and trust in God, no matter what scary thing they might be facing.
Oh, for sure. And one of my most favorite people from the Bible has a story just like that.
Who?
Well, she became queen of Persia like 50 years after Daniel was alive. And we just talked about her in our Circus series.
Oh, you mean super courageous Queen Esther.
Yep, her story is really awesome. So kids, if you want to hear more about it, make sure you go watch that episode of Circus.
Yeah, Esther's bravery saved all the Jewish people in Persia.
You know, looking at all these stories, Shadrach, Meshach, Abednego, Daniel, and Queen Esther, I think they all knew something really important.
What's that?
God's story is greater than our story.
Good point. These people were all probably scared at some point during these stories, but they chose to trust God anyway.
Exactly, because they knew that God's story is greater than our story.
They were ready to do what was right, no matter what the consequences might be.
And that's the important lesson for us too. We usually have our own plans and we can even get stuck wherever we feel comfortable. But sometimes God's plan is different and it requires us to trust Him.
Which is why we need to remember God's story is greater than our story.
Join us next week because we'll get to see when God sends Jesus here to earth
to be the biggest part of the greatest story ever told.
Wow, what an amazing reminder that God's story is greater than our story. We hope you've enjoyed our visits with some of these brave and courageous people of the Bible so far. And don't forget to come back next week so we can visit the greatest of them all. Plus, we'll be celebrating something very important next week too. That's right, next week is Mother's Day, and we've got an awesome craft planned. So be sure to join us next week so you don't miss out.